Hey guys, welcome to another session of RBTL. We'll go through the patch notes and all the stuff that's happening lately. This one's actually pretty big, but at the same time not as big as I thought. I was gonna stay up till the, for me, my time, 3 a.m. live stream. I'm kinda glad I didn't. I think I would have been outraged or I wouldn't be able to think properly. We do have ML EDA released in terms of the news. If you're waiting for that video, I'm gonna make my initial thoughts video on it. I think it's a pretty big one in terms of I have to talk about it. So I'm not gonna skip her like I did with RGB or Blue EDA. I definitely have to talk about the ML. Regardless, regarding this patch note, this week's patch notes, our update is coming a day early. So actually, you know, as you're watching this video, the maintenance is gonna be a day earlier than usual, which is good. Hopefully this is actually a permanent change, because when people actually used to take Guild Wars seriously, it would always suck to have the maintenance happen on a Guild War night, and if maintenance overruns, then you know, you either lose the war or whatever. Like it's just not as good. So maybe this is a regular. I'm not quite sure if it's just this month, but we'll have to see. First things first, we got the free 10 Covenant Summon event. This is happening on April 1st and only one day, so don't miss out. As it says, don't miss out. And it's got all these like emote, like woo. I'm curious, like why specifically this day? You know, I don't want to put on a tinfoil hat and I won't spend too much time on this, but I was hoping, I was like, first thing first, I'm like, ooh, April's Fools, right? But April Fools might not be like fully understood in, let's say, like Asia or something like that. It's like more of a North American thing. But you know, it would be cool. It would be cool. Again, tinfoil hat is that when you summon the free 10, they give you an ML5. It would be like the opposite of April Fools, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have that in mind. This is a bit unnatural in terms of unnormal. We don't really have this, like a kind of a one thing. Usually we have that 7-day thing, which is really nice. I mean, I'm not gonna complain, we got free 10 summons, so let's move on there. So Guilty Gear collab check-in event as well. Make sure you log in consecutively, and then you will get 50 energy on top of every single login reward. Very nice. It looks to be about the same as previous years. More or less, or at least there's not much here that will get me very excited. But I mean, Guilty Gear 3rd year, 1 million gold, you got your soul bad guy and your junkyard dog, catalyst bundle, 15 covenant bookmarks, silver transmit stone, 2 Malagora, and then a 5-star summon ticket, which is always very exciting. I mean, as imprints are becoming more and more valuable, as people are at least myself and the circles I'm in, pushing to the end game or are in the end game, those imprints actually really adding up in terms of like lost stats on a hero. This is very cool. So a special event, this Maid Queen's like super event, epic equipment crafting super Maid Queen super event. It's a mouthful. I think you did it on purpose, but this is kind of cool. So a couple months ago, I was on stream and I was talking about like the hunt buffs are really cool, but like how do you know, like people can do their hunts and people, and one of the things that, you know, you guys, if you guys watch me on Twitch and maybe sometimes I post the VODs on YouTube, you know, I look at other people's accounts and sometimes I do these things called account helps, and a lot of the times when I take a look at a couple clicks and I'm just like, oh, you're a shop refresher, oh, you're a farmer. Like it's usually like, you know, people use a skystone for one of those two things. And I was saying before, like the hunt buffs are great for people who don't even use their skystones to refresh for hunts. I mean, they might not have a lot to craft, and because you don't craft a lot, you start complaining about the bad RNG you get in gear because you're not throwing enough darts at the dartboard. And I was saying like not theory crafting, but I was saying as a suggestion that it would be really nice if they had like a buffed crafting day. So like it lowers the gold cost for crafting, like maybe by like 10 to 15%. But then I started realizing, I'm like, yeah, for free to play, the hunt buffs are really good because, like, you know, people are saving their leaf or saving their skystone, all their energy specifically for hunt buff. But then if there was like a crafting discount day or something, then everybody would save there. Like that's the fear, but I don't think that's the case. It's just like people who are maybe not even whales, but just really care about gearing and stuff like that, they're going to be hunting all the time. They'll hunt more during hunt buffs, but they're still going to be hunting all the time. So I don't think that idea would have lowered the rate of people crafting, because if you're competitive in Guild War, competitive in RTA, fact is that you will be crafting, even if it's not going to be, you know, the best bang for buck. But they didn't do that, but rather they did this. So this was kind of a cool idea. So sorry, that was a bit of background of what I was thinking of in terms of like maybe an incentive for players to craft more often, which is literally like I would say the backbone of this game is the gear RNG. Equipment crafting. So this is very cool. So keep in mind that this says this many times. You can only craft the equipment once. So it's basically a selection craft, which is cool. For events like this, to get one piece of gear, and you get to choose the substat, you get to choose the main stat. The substat in terms of choosing is still RNG based, but you can roll it. But I'm gonna put in air quotes infinite times. It's just gonna be costly. So how it works is that yeah, so you're able to craft 85 equipment, of course, epic, of course, which is perfect. But you have to collect points by consuming energy and craft the equipment you want. So I think it says somewhere here talking about the energy used. Yeah. So 1 energy consumed grants 1 point. So just use that as like, you know, the basis there for your quote unquote currency. You do need quite a bit of currency though. So I definitely have to say that you're gonna have to put in some extra work, extra mileage on your account during this event. But you do have quite a bit of time. Right, so you have like basically, let's say April, so the end of March to May to do this. So they obviously spaced out enough time so that if you're free to play, even counting like the daily energy, just the free energy you get in the game itself, from the web events, from the ads, from the conquest points, the friendship, and whatever else you may get, like the free leaf or whatever, there should be enough currency for you to, at the end of this or near the end of this, craft something that you're satisfied with. All right, so that's very cool. So yeah, consumes energy, but dispatcher missions don't count, so don't count that towards it. So it has to be definitely a spendable energy, and then, you know, just put into farms, altars, or whatever have you, whatever you need. You need 500 points in order to select the set. So it needs to cost quite a bit. Okay. So 500 points, which means 500 energy used to be able to craft the set you want. Of course, I recommend speed set above all else, since it's the most universal, and you'll probably benefit that the most. Either speed or immunity, one of those two. It does depend on what you lack. I would say speed set for myself, just because of what I might be crafting. Speed set will still give me more versatility than immunity set. Let's say for example I want speed, and then it rolls like full speed, right? Like all speed. I get speed substat. It rolls all speed, and you know, if you could have that on immunity, it's great. But then if you have it on speed set, then that's even better, because you can move it to basically any hero, right? So that's what I mean. So probably one of those two sets, but speed set more, and then it consumes 400 points. So another 400 energy needed for this, to get the different piece of equipment. I would definitely suggest at this point, I would suggest right side gear, because you are able to choose the main stat of this. You don't want to do the left side gear. Apparently I think there are, you know, I think it's either Reddit or whatever, saying that go for helmet. Helmets, because of the amount of substats you can roll into helmets, it's going to be a lot of RNG, I get it, but in terms of compounding the main stat variable that you would usually get from regular crafting, the right side gear would be the best bang for buck. So I definitely think that, yeah, spend your currency on the right side gear, as it usually would cost more anyway as you craft, in terms of crafting mats and gold. So crafting the right side gear is 100% the best bang for buck, so do that. It does depend on what you want. Like for boots, 100% you only could go speed anyway. I'm half on that one. I definitely think that you know, when you start to think about the accessories or the boots, unless you're lacking speed boots, usually boots, if you're extracting for the essence, you get the speed. But there's only one essence that you really will roll into a boot, and that's the speed essence. So you're most likely going to be converting speed boots anyway. But in terms of like necks and rings, you're gonna have the variable, like, you know, sometimes you want to convert with your essence gem. Conversion gem rather. You might want effectiveness, you want HP, you might want attack, you might want effective resistance, you might want defense. There's too many of those substats in terms of the conversion gem. So if you're talking about the conversion gem value, because conversion gems are actually very expensive, especially if you're a player that always uses them. They're very expensive because you basically have to wait on world boss drops or the weekly boxes from guild shop and the transmit stone shop. So I definitely suggest the 2 accessories would probably give you the best value as well. And like I said, my reasoning behind that is that there's only one real conversion you want to do for boot, and that is the speed boot. Regardless if it's on speed set or not, that's the only one that really makes sense there. Attack and HP don't really make sense there. It's just a waste of a conversion. You may as well put that into the ring or the neck. And then that deduces, at least for me. So as you can see, I'm already, you know, showing what I'm going to be crafting. Most likely going to be a neck or ring. And then you can select the main stat, which will the main stat is 300 points, 400 points for this, and then 500 points for this. So that's quite a bit, right? But still, regardless, you do have a couple months to do this, and it's not hard to go through 1,200 energy or whatever. If you're changing the substats, it will consume 50 points each time, and you can roll it as many times as you want. So 50 points will be consumed every time a substat group is changed. It will be all random in terms of the substat you get, but you do get to select between 2. So that's very, very cool. So for every 50, you get 2 substats, or substat selections. So 4 options will be randomly applied when the substat are changed. That's the 4 substats it's talking about. And then when you change substat, you can select with the 2 groups you want to change. So that's very, very cool. And then so, you know, once you get the quote unquote the base amount of points from the sets to the piece to the main stat, really what you're left with is just, you know, getting the energy to get the substats you want. So that's not too difficult. Anyways, we have a bit of time to do that, so very, very cool. And it's just to reiterate again, the red once per account during the event period. So make sure you do it, but only know that when you commit to it, there's only one thing to go. And of course, you want to roll it as much as possible so that you get all 4 usable substats, no matter how much it costs. Hopefully the RNG rolls your way, but you want to make sure you get 4 usable substats. That way, no matter what, it won't be bad, except if it low rolls to the ground, right? So ideally what you want to do is refresh all perfect substats, and it's decent enough start for you. So it's not like, you know, 4 attack, 4 effectiveness, 4 health, 4 effect resistance, like on the image there. I'm just giving you the lowest rolls possible. Yeah, so that's very, very cool. I definitely like this idea. I hope that they bring this back quite a bit. But it seems that between the time span that this event occurs, we probably won't see this much throughout a whole year cycle. Maybe once or twice going forward. But very, very nice Smile Gate, by the way. This is a very, very cool little thing, and I think this is a very, very hype type of event. Especially for players already crafting and wanting better gear. This is very, very cool. Anyways, update content patch. So the Guild War season starting, Skyward season, starting very, very quick. So I think it's going to be this week, actually. Very, very quick. And then we got a new artifact. It seems that they're kind of bouncing back and forth between PvE and PvP artifacts. I think Symbol of Unity, no doubt, is probably one of the best PvP artifacts right now. Proof of Valor was really good as well, and then we had the Victorious Flag in between those two, which seemed to be more PvE related. I'm looking at this, and maybe I'm wrong, and let me know in the comments down below. Let me hear your theory crafts. Like, you guys think this is PvP material? I think it's a PvE piece, even though right now I can't think of one. But you know, I said that before for Victorious Flag, and now look at how good that is for, like, you know, expeditions and stuff. So yeah, so the max, it increases the attack of all allies by 100. By 10%. And then at the end of the enemy's turn, like every 3 enemy turns, increase the combat readiness of the caster by 20%. So right now I'm like thinking about the expeditions, I'm thinking about hunts, like one-shots or whatever. I'm having a hard time finding it, but the 10% increase to all allies is very nice, since no matter what, even if you don't use the combat readiness potion, this is already an increase to the water gun artifact and the Christmas miracles one. So like that's very, very nice. So right now I'm thinking PvE, I'm not sure about PvP, but anyways. And then we got the new frames. I'm gonna skip down to what I think that is not that important. Hero balance adjustment in terms of Soul Bad Guy and Alpha Valentine. I made a video on that. I'm gonna make a small correction here. Because of your useful comments, YouTube, and you know, talking to more people, definitely think that they're more viable now. I'm still not convinced about Soul Bad Guy, mainly because I think his damage mods are quite low. But I think he definitely has a use. So people are saying Athletica counter. Anyone does an AoE kind of opening counter, he'd be pretty good. Other than like Cerise, because he'd probably miss. And then Alfelt, the Dispelling buff before, Dispelling 2 buff before, is a decent Remnant Violet killer. So I think she could handle Remnant Violet like solo, because she'll apply the Death Break anyway. You can Soul Burn for guaranteed. So Alfelt, I think, is definitely at this point a more pullable hero, and then that gets to the group drop summon rate thingy, whatever. I already had my big spiel on I don't like this kind of format, but it's an inevitable format. I kind of already guessed that this would happen. Everybody guessed really when they had the Landy, D, and Cerise banner. Everybody guessed this would happen for all the collab heroes. So now this time, like Elfelt, because with the buff, I think she's definitely a more viable option. And not just for a cleave deck, she'll be pretty solid just to take out a single target, and then have team-wide support in a way. So I definitely think that she'll have more play, but we'll have to see about that. And then of course the Death Break that she applies, assuming that your opponents don't have immunity, is not a hit. So it's kind of like Flan. So in a way, it's like, you know, it's good, and Miss Confal still very, very nice to have. Necro and Undine needs a buff. I don't know why they didn't buff it this time. I don't think that artifact is actually really good. Toe and Sleeve is fine, but I think for this banner, I'm 100% skipping it. I do have enough Elfelts, and Miss Confal I think we could buy from the powder shop, so I'm just gonna do that. But if you don't have them, I think Dizzy is still viable for PvE. Very, very useful. Azimanic starter if you know, Azimanic hunts. Biken, very low gear check for Banshee one-shot. So if you miss these, I mean, this is probably the best banner for you, because you're most likely going to get them all at a reduced price compared to when we were chasing these heroes 2 years ago. So yeah, and then there's some leftover stuff like for the Galaxy coins, or sorry, not Galaxy coins, Mirage coins, for the Portrait of Savior, Junkyard Dog. But you can farm Portrait of Savior through the event as well. So it seems that this time we're not going to get that big 3-week event, which I'm kind of glad. So it seems more like a mini game. You can go in and farm and then get your Portrait of Savior. So hopefully that's good. Hopefully that means that less energy spent, especially with the hunt buff that we're getting. But I'll talk about that in a bit. Yeah, Portrait of Savior is still very, very nice, especially for cleave decks, for openers. You get that initial burst damage that you really want. I mean, 20% is no joke. Plus you get pretty good base stats from the artifact itself. Although I really, really, really like Symbol of Unity. That is a Guild War artifact, although it's free as well. Like I'm liking that on like my Last Rider Crow. Very, very nice. Very, very nice artifact. And then we talked about the crafting thing, so super cool. Kanna's returning. Whatever. So bomb model Kanna or Kanna, it's quite interesting. So she's gonna be a connection hero as well. Probably gonna be quite a bit of a farm, kind of like Yuna back in the day. So it's kind of interesting that they would release her. But she has a banner, so I'm kind of interested about that. I think mainly for the artifact. They don't really talk about the artifact here, but if my reading was right, it was like 20%. I think it's in the video. 20% crit rate and 30% crit damage. That's no joke. For a 5-star artifact on a ranger that does not need to do, let's say, guiding light, does not need to have Song of Stars, miscon file. If you're talking about a purebred damage dealer, that's very, very crazy. I'm actually thinking that artifact could be very good for someone like Operator Cigarette, opener type. So like for RTA, like the 290 speed type Operator Cigarette. I ran into a player in Arena, Champion. I'm not gonna mention his name, but if he hears this, even sees it, freaking crazy Operator Cigarette. I tried to bring my Cerise into it. The Operator Cigarette was like 300 speed, and it hit hard. It could one-shot my RB, so no worries. But it hit hard, and I'm just thinking like, with that artifact on a hero that might not need guiding light in terms of like they're an opener, but they also could be a pseudo damage dealer. That artifact is very, very nice to have. So I'm talking about Kanna's artifact with Kanna. Very nice to have. I would really like one. I was like, that's literally the only reason why I would want to even summon on the banner, but I might skip her just because, one, she's a connection hero, so you're gonna get her. Oh, you can eventually get her. I'm assuming you have to feed like Epic Catalyst to it, and it's gonna be like a long grind or whatever, like Yuna. But in terms of like usability, you know, I'm not gonna make a separate video on her. I'm actually gonna talk about her here. I think she's okay. But again, the very fact that they made her possible to get into connection tells me that they don't even think that she's that good. I think she's just like a support hero, kind of like Yuna. But if we look at the full fire, so the S3, we're looking at the After Awakening portion. Boost firepower to attack all enemies at a 100% chance, so that's with the +2 Mola. 100% chance to dispel 1 buff before increasing speed for all allies for 2 turns, increasing attack of the caster for 2 turns. And then Stance Shift is a passive. When full fire is available at the start of the turn, takes shelling stance. When full fire is unavailable at the end of the turn, takes a striking stance. Can only take 1 stance at a time. So shelling stance effectiveness is increased by 40%. So I don't think that's a buff. That's just like you can't dispel it. That's just going to be how it is. So you get a really good starter for that S3. And then after you use it, increases speed and dual attack chance by 5. So the follow-up becomes pretty good. So she's already going to be pretty fast. She is a Gemini ranger, not the fastest ranger in the shed, but not terrible. I mean, that's Athletica, right? I think it's Athletica. I think it's Athletica. Yeah. So yeah, it's not gonna be like terrible, but you already get an increased speed and dual attack chance by 5, and then you're already getting a speed buff after you use this anyway. So she's gonna be a pretty good turn cycler, but then I guess the question would be like, for what? S1 quick fire rapidly fires, attacks 2 enemies, so 2 target types, so like RB, Champion Zerato, Fireball. Damage all increased proportion to caster speed, so you're gonna get some damage there. We're gonna have to see the mods in terms of her damage, but again, I think like it's okay. She's not like super fancy, kind of like a simple hero, really, and you can build a pretty high damage since she gets a innate 40 effectiveness anyway. So if you're trying to dispel that on the first turn, dispel their buff on the first turn, you have a most likely you're gonna have a pretty high chance of doing it. Of course, the 15% resist check will always be there. But yeah, I think she's okay. Like team-wide support type hero. I think the only difference between the when full fire is unavailable at the end of the turn, taking striking stance can only take 1 stance at a time. I think it's talking about like, you know, when you're in striking stance, let's say you used it and you like reset a skill with like Green Assyria, she's not gonna go back to shelling stance. I think that's the point of making that clear. But just in case, you know, if you guys didn't understand the necessity for them to say that, I think that's probably the reason. Expedition improvements, very nice improvements to come, and I think that if you're watching this video right now, stop hitting your expeditions, wait till this is improved. Level 3 is costing 18 now, so I mean your 2 energy cost less. I'll take it. It just it means 10% more runs, right, of what we had. Man, I gotta say, man, this month, just about expedition, just for the substat gems alone, trying to improve heroes, like min-maxing stuff, it costed a lot of energy. So this is very nice, a welcome change. Expedition level 1 and 2 will now reward 60 expedition points. This is just a bit of the change. The total expedition now will be 2,000 points to collect all the rewards. In my opinion, I mean, you're gonna most likely be farming all of it anyway, but I guess for players who are really, you know, going to limit the amount of expeditions they do, that 100 less is better than nothing, so that's good. And then the current level 11 rewards offer now will now be 13 levels that offer rewards. Sorry, the current 11 levels that offer rewards now be 13 levels in terms of the breakdown. And then of course I think that's because they added the modification gem selection chest. Although this definitely is not what I expected, it is the less broken implementation. I was hoping that the selection chest would be like, you get 3 or 6 a month and you're able to select the set you want and then the stat you want. Nope, no. It doesn't really work that way. They limit it, which is the less broken way, which is fine, because what I hate to see in games like Epic 7 is power creep to the max, right? Because that kind of kills the like you're chasing the carrot on the stick. I always use that metaphor, right? You're chasing the carrot on the stick. If the carrot is too far, you might be lazy and chase it. If the carrot is too obtainable, you might just not want to eat the carrot anymore. I had a stream talk yesterday night about me eating fried chicken and why I stopped eating fried chicken. So for those who were on the stream yesterday, you know that analogy, it makes sense here. But basically, yeah, Smilegate's just gotta balance that kind of like the desire, like is it attainable? If it's obtainable, then the players will try to reach it, but if it's too easy, they get desensitized, they get bored, and then they don't care about it, right? It's kind of like Guild War when we had mystics as rewards. Woohoo, everybody did it, but now the mystics are not enough, right? You get desensitized to the rewards, the reward loop. You either have to increase the rewards or you got to make it easier or something like that. Basically, it ends up being work amount like versus reward, right? Like that's what every player wants, and this is definitely gonna help, especially in the previous month where you're just rolling full on RNG, 11 stats, 16 sets. And then you're possibly rolling a lesser or greater. This one you're always guaranteed greater, so that's already very good. And then you have distinct sets and you can select the substat. It's just that it won't be as much as I originally thought, right? So you're limited to the Lich attack set and health set. I'm assuming they're gonna swap these around eventually too, like per month. Because I mean, obviously this is not completing the exact full sets. Like it's not all of the sets are touched here. Only 8 of the 16. So crit set and speed set. Thank goodness speed set and crit set, because right now those two right now for like my DPS, I need those really bad. So thank goodness for that. But again, one of each. And then the ice is not in game right now, but I guess the next time it comes, it will be destruction and counter. And then we got the rage and immunity for the dark. So the immunity, thankfully, it is not unity and rage, but it is immunity. So at least it's useful. And rage set, yeah, people are going for like one-shot PvE stuff, so rage set is welcome, I guess. But yeah, hero Purgus skill description adjustment is very interesting. That for like we kind of want like recalls on like other heroes that are not buffed, but then they'll give us a recall just because of skill description change. While I understand the reasoning behind that, it just makes it more clear of what this hero does, especially like a new player. Like imagine yourself, you're new, you step in and no one uses green Purgus and you're just wondering what the heck he does. This clarification definitely needed. But it's interesting that they're allowing this right now. I do have a 6-star green Purgus. Never really used him. I might recall him and then just build him up again when I need him. But honestly, functionally changed, and he's not really changed. It's just that I might be able to take the fodder back and put it into some hero I will use right now, at least for now, right? So I mean, do it within the recall time. And then a coin shop list change Bologna and haste. I mean, unless you got the coins, this won't really matter to you, will it? Dark Corvus, meh. Equipment inventory expansion. This is how RBTL works. It's whatever Jagan wants to talk about. 500, you increase it by another 50 slots. I myself, I'm actually okay, actually, this time around, with some of my new videos I'm releasing in terms of like, you know, how to spot good gear. Check out that series, Tips and Change. And I, you know, because I've applied that to my own account, I don't have garbage sitting around not being used, so I actually have quite a bit of slots open. But yeah, regardless, it is there if you need it, so that's pretty cool. Everything else, I think that's pretty much it. And then the last thing, of course, is that free equip event. Again, very nice to have it almost 3 weeks in a row. Definitely going to use that again. Very beneficial, but it is the usual usual time. I guess it would be a day more than usual because the maintenance happening a day earlier. And then the buff event, just keeping those in mind, of course. Everybody's going to be going crazy for it, and then the Burning Passion Pack to return as per usual. Anyways, so like I said at the beginning, this was a pretty big patch, a lot to talk about, but it wasn't as big as I expected it to be. If you're waiting for my thoughts on ML ETA, that will be in its own video separate from this one. So if you guys want to watch that, check it out later. Otherwise, for this one, I'm going to end it. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next Reading Between the Lines.